When the seeker disappears, reality appears, a Buddhist perspective. A strange paradox lives at the center of spiritual seeking. The one who seeks becomes the very obstacle to finding. Like an eye trying to see itself, the seeker cannot reach what it pursues, not because the destination is far away, but because seeking itself creates the illusion of distance. Who is reading these words right now? Who is trying to understand? This is an invitation to look directly at something we rarely question, the one who seeks, suffers, and hopes for liberation. What if that seeker is the only barrier? The illusion of the seeker. From our first moments of self-awareness, we carry a sense of incompleteness. I am not enough, the mind whispers. Even when we turn to spirituality, this pattern persists. Now seeking enlightenment instead of success, peace instead of pleasure. The form changes, but the structure remains. I here, incomplete, reaching towards something out there that will finally make me whole. In the Anatalakkhana Sutta, the Buddha guided his disciples to examine experience directly, asking about each aggregate. Is it permanent or impermanent? Is what is impermanent satisfactory? Then is it fitting to regard what is impermanent as, this is mine, this I am, this is myself? This isn't philosophy. It's something you can verify now. Look for the seeker. Search for the one who is searching. You'll find thoughts arising. I am looking. You'll find sensations, intentions, movements of attention. But can you find an actual entity behind these processes? What appears is only more movement. Thoughts about a thinker, sensations, impulses. Approach it directly, and like a mirage, it dissolves. Here's the crucial insight. Seeking itself creates the seeker. We assume we exist first, then seek. But watch your mind now. When you think, I want peace, you simultaneously create two things: a me who lacks peace, and a future where peace exists. The gap between them, maintained by thought comparing what is with what should be, is where the seeker lives. The Dhammapada opens. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind-wrought. The sense of being a separate self, living in time, is constructed moment by moment through thought's movement. Thought says, I am not peaceful yet, and in that statement creates the unpeaceful one who must seek peace. Without this constant commentary, without claiming experience as mine, what remains? Just this moment as it is. The Buddha identified 3 types of craving, but bhava-tanha, craving to become, is the hidden engine of spiritual seeking. I will become enlightened. I will become free. But who will become free? The very one who believes it needs to become something is part of what must be understood. Buddhism distinguishes this craving from chanda, wholesome intention, the wise aspiration that supports practice without strengthening the illusion of separation. Yet even this understanding becomes a trap. I should stop seeking. But that too is seeking the end of seeking. The seeker is remarkably creative in maintaining itself, converting even genuine insights into its story of progress. The structure of seeking. Every act of seeking rests on psychological time, not clock time, but the time that exists only in thought. This is the time that says, now is not enough. Later will be better. I will be happy when. Whenever you seek, you create a future and compare it with the present. The present feels lacking. The future holds promise. And between them stretches imagined time needed for transformation. In the Bhaddhakarata Sutta, the Buddha offers direct pointing. Do not pursue the past. Do not lose yourself in the future. Whatever quality is present, see it clearly with right understanding. This isn't advice about living in the moment. It points to something more fundamental. Only this moment exists. Past exists as memory arising now. Future exists as imagination arising now. Both are thoughts appearing in this moment. Yet we spend our lives absorbed in these thoughts, living anywhere but here. Why does the mind do this? Because the present moment, before thought interprets it, doesn't support the seeker's story. Right now, before thinking about it, what is actually lacking? Breath is breathing. Heart is beating. Sounds appear and disappear. There is simply this. But the mind cannot rest in this simplicity. Almost immediately it projects. Yes, but I need to solve this problem, achieve that goal, become a better person. And with that projection, we're thrown out of what is into the imaginary realm of what should be. Notice how craving to become operates. I will become peaceful. I will develop wisdom. The structure is always the same. I, the seeker. Current inadequate state. Future better state. And the gap between filled with effort and time. But here's what we miss. The very effort to become peaceful can prevent peace. The seeking of freedom can obscure it. Both are already here. The natural condition when seeking stops. Not as an achievement, but as what has always been, only covered over by the activity of seeking itself. Krishnamurti observed, "The observer is the observed." When we watch our anger, we create division. Me, here observing my anger, there. But look closely. Is there truly an observer separate from what is observed? The seeker and what it seeks to escape arise together, maintain each other, cannot exist without each other. The Buddha understood this completely. That's why he taught not achievement, but nirodha, cessation. The third noble truth points to the cessation of craving that creates and sustains the sense of a separate self caught in time. And this cessation isn't something you make happen. It's what is discovered when the making stops, when the structure of seeking is seen through with clear understanding. When the seeker disappears, many imagine enlightenment as a dramatic peak experience, cosmic insight, overwhelming bliss, mystical visions. But this imagination is itself the seeker's creation. The Buddha spoke not of achieving something new, but of removing ignorance. In the Diamond Sutra, he teaches, all conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow. Everything we take as solid and substantial, including the seeker itself, is empty of inherent existence, as insubstantial as a dream upon waking. When this is truly seen, not as intellectual idea, but as direct perception, the seeker, revealed as an illusion, loses its compelling power. What is lost is not something real, but a case of mistaken identity. Here's what may surprise us. When the seeker disappears, life becomes more vivid, not less. Colors appear brighter, sounds clearer, experience more immediate. Why? because there's no longer a filtering layer of interpretation between awareness and what appears. The bird singing is simply bird singing, not "I am hearing a bird" with all the associated thoughts and judgments. Pain in the knee is simply sensation arising and passing, not my pain with its entire story. This is tathata, suchness, reality, without the overlay of me and mine. It turns out to be utterly ordinary. So ordinary we miss it constantly while searching for something extraordinary. When the seeker disappears, we don't become cold or indifferent. The separate self, with all its defenses and fears, is actually what blocks genuine responsiveness. When that barrier dissolves, natural compassion emerges, not calculated kindness where I should help others, but spontaneous response, like a mother who hears her child cry. No thought, no decision, no delay. The Buddha walked across India for 45 years, teaching whoever came with questions or suffering. This wasn't duty. It was natural expression of understanding. When the illusion of separation dissolves, helping another becomes as natural as one hand helping the other when it's hurt. Yet even this understanding must not become a new project. I will make the seeker disappear. That's the seeker again, now seeking its own dissolution. The trap is complete. Any effort to end seeking is seeking. This is the final bind. And there's no solution the seeker can implement, no technique it can master, no achievement it can claim. The path of non-seeking. If seeking is the problem, how do we practice? The resolution isn't found through more thinking, but through a shift in understanding. Practice is not a ladder we climb to reach enlightenment. Practice is becoming intimate with what is actually happening, moment by moment. Meditation isn't preparing for some future awakening. When done with right understanding, meditation itself is awakening as the simple clarity of what is. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha taught, simply observe clearly what is happening. Not to achieve something, not to become something. Just see what is actually present, while letting go of grasping and resistance. In the beginning, there seems to be you watching your breath. But if you stay with the practice, not trying to make anything happen, just observing, something shifts. The boundary between observer and observed dissolves. Where exactly is this boundary? Is awareness something separate from what it's aware of? Or is there simply awareness and its contents arising together? This is vipassana. What is seen directly is impermanence, the unsatisfactory nature of clinging and not self. Every sensation, every thought, arising, existing briefly, passing away. Nothing permanent to grasp. This isn't a problem to solve, but simply how things are. When this is seen clearly and repeatedly, something naturally shifts. Not because we force it, but because understanding itself is transformative. It's like realizing the snake you feared is actually a rope. The moment you see clearly, fear disappears through corrected perception. Similarly, when you see clearly that the seeker is empty, a thought pattern, not a substantial entity, it begins to lose its power. The Buddha taught the 7 factors of awakening as ripening in release. This points to natural unfolding when conditions are right, not forced achievement. Like fruit ripening on a tree. Like a hen sitting on eggs. She doesn't make the chicks hatch through effort. She simply sits, providing warmth, and when conditions are complete, hatching happens naturally. We practice, establishing mindfulness, developing concentration, cultivating wisdom. But the deepest transformation occurs through natural seeing when conditions ripen. This understanding prevents forceful striving that strengthens the achiever, and passive giving up that misses the necessity of creating conditions. The middle way is engaged presence without grasping at results. Zen Master Dogen taught shikantaza, just sitting. Not sitting to achieve something, but sitting complete in itself. When you sit with no goal, no project, no hope of becoming better, what remains? Just this breath, just this moment, just awareness being aware. This, it turns out, is enough. This has always been enough. Reality as it is. When the seeker dissolves, what is discovered is not a new reality, but reality as it has always been. Direct, immediate, utterly simple. Not a mystical state requiring special conditions, but precisely this: the sound of wind, the sensation of breathing, thoughts arising and passing, awareness aware of itself. Nothing exotic, nothing you need to attain, simply what is, before the mind claims it as mine and turns it into a problem to solve. In Mahayana Buddhism, this understanding is expressed through shunyata, emptiness. This doesn't mean nothingness. It means nothing exists in the way we habitually think, as solid, independent, permanent. Nagarjuna demonstrated, whatever is dependently co-arisen, that is explained to be emptiness. Everything exists only relationally. There's no self-existing self, no independently existing objects. All phenomena arise dependent on conditions and are empty of the independent existence we project onto them. Look at any object, this cup, this chair. What is it really? Wood shaped by tools, used according to human purposes, given meaning by cultural context. Remove any of these, and it's no longer chair. The chairness doesn't exist inherently. It arises through relationship, through context, through mind's interpretation. Now apply this to what we call self. What is this I that has been seeking? Upon examination, a collection of thoughts, memories, sensations, perceptions, all arising and passing based on countless conditions. Like the chair, the I has no inherent independent existence. A pattern in the vast web of existence, not a thing standing separate from the web. When this is seen directly, not as philosophical idea but as lived understanding, the seeker dissolves because it's recognized as having been empty all along. But here's the profound paradox of the Heart Sutra. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. What appears is empty of inherent existence. And precisely because it's empty, it can appear. Because nothing has fixed, permanent nature, everything can arise, exist temporarily, pass away, and arise again. Because the self is empty, there can be experience, learning, growth, transformation. Living from this understanding is living with fluidity rather than rigidity, with openness rather than defensiveness. Decisions still happen, actions still occur, but they arise from clear seeing of the whole situation, rather than from a defended position of me versus the world. When the Buddha was on his deathbed, his final words were, "All conditioned things are subject to decay. Strive on with diligence." This might seem paradoxical. Strive, but he was pointing to a crucial distinction. Not the striving of the ego trying to become something, but the diligent awareness that sees clearly, that doesn't fall into complacency, that remains present with what is. This is wise effort, not the anxious effort of someone trying to get somewhere, but the alert presence that sees through illusion whenever it arises. There's a famous Zen koan. A monk asked Master 𝐂𝐨𝐦𝐬𝐞, "Does a dog have Buddha nature?" 𝐂𝐨𝐦𝐬𝐞 answered, "Moo, no, nothing, not." He wasn't making a philosophical statement. He was cutting through the question itself, pointing to something prior to all conceptual frameworks, prior to seeking and finding. The dog is simply dog, completely itself, not seeking Buddha nature, not worried about enlightenment. Only humans create the problem of seeking what we already are. When the seeker disappears, what remains is simply this: life living itself. Awareness being aware. Breath breathing. All of it happening spontaneously, naturally, without anyone doing it, without anyone needing to be saved or improved. And in this simplicity, there's a freedom that belongs to no one. Freedom as the nature of reality itself, when it's not grasped, not possessed, not turned into someone's achievement. Right now, in this very moment, before thought comes in to comment and claim and compare, what is actually lacking? What problem exists before the mind creates one? The breath is breathing. The heart is beating. Awareness is aware, simply and naturally. This is it. This has always been it. Not something you need to find, because you've never been separate from it. Not something you need to become, because it's what you are prior to all becoming. Not something you need to achieve, because it's the ground from which all achievement and all failure arise and into which they return. Welcome home.